Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, when I first started, I raised the issue about procedure. How come we have a motion listed as item 55, which reads that this House adopts the report of the Committee of Privileges on the alleged breach of Article 97(1)(c) of the 1992 Constitution and Order 16/1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament by 3 honorable members of Parliament during the first meeting of the second session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, my initial issue has to do with procedure. And I said, I'm convinced that this matter should not be subjected to a motion that will then need the approval of Parliament. My colleague started by saying that there is a precedent. If a precedent is bad and cannot be foundation on the Constitution, you cannot foist it on Parliament. Mr. Speaker, he cites one example. Mr. Speaker, you are aware that for 6 years since the inception of the 4th Republic, resolutions in this House were approved by 2/3 majority in this House. Until we entered this House and the issue came up that what Parliament had been doing for 6 years was unfortunately not based on the Constitution. Justice Annan was the Speaker. So what precedent had taken place for 6 years was dismantled in a day. It was bad precedent. And then resolutions, more than 500 resolutions had been passed by this House, predicated on 2/3 majority. The fact that it was bad could not be justified by the fact that it had precedence. So a wayward precedent should not have any effect on this House. Mr. Speaker, that's the first lesson to him. Mr. Speaker, now the issue that he raises about Article 97. Mr. Speaker, for his elucidation, Article 97, we all do know, provides. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about constitutional imperatives, not personal sentiments. Mr. Speaker, Article 97 that he read provides, a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament. It says, upon a dissolution of Parliament. If Parliament is dissolved, vacancy is declared for all of us, collectively and individually. There is that automaticity. Mr. Speaker, B says, if he's elected Speaker of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker of Parliament, Speaker Adwoa Safo, was a member of Parliament, duly elected by his constituents. When he was nominated and indeed elected as Speaker of Parliament, the Speaker, immediately after the election, his seat fell vacant. There was that automaticity. The Speaker, now let's come to 97. 1C. It says, a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament if he is absent without the permission in writing of the Speaker. That's the first leg. The Speaker, those three people, if they had sought your permission and you had granted the permission, you would not have referred their conduct in the first place to the Privileges Committee. It stands to reason that they flouted that first leg. That is why he referred their conduct to the Privileges Committee. The Speaker, the second leg now states, if he is absent without the permission in writing to the Speaker and is unable to offer reasonable explanation to the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges from 15 sittings of a meeting of Parliament during any period that Parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet. The Speaker, that is what the committee was tasked to investigate, whether they have reasonable excuse after not having sought your permission, whether they have reasonable excuse to have absented themselves. Mr. Speaker, that is what the three of them were required to do. To submit themselves to the Privileges Committee, to justify whether or not they had reasonable excuse. Mr. Speaker, the Privileges Committee has submitted their report. And my considered opinion, based on the Constitution, not on sentiment, is that there should be that automaticity once the committee makes a determination. According to saying that it should be decided by the House, I disagree with him. There's no constitutional basis for what he's saying. The Speaker, I say so because he himself has not cited any constitutional provision to that effect. He is speaking to his sentiments, which has no relevance as far as this matter is concerned. Mr. Speaker, Article 112 provides that once the determination has been made and the vacancy has fallen, 1125 says, whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred. Mr. Speaker, the determination of the committee is born in a report that is submitted to this House. And that report is not for the consideration and voting on by this plenary. It is for the information of the House that the determination has been made. Mr. Speaker, my colleague appears to be arguing that no committee can make such a decision that will bind the entire House. He's totally wrong. Mr. Speaker, let's deal with what is contained in Article 106. Article 106, sub 13. Article 106, sub 13 provides, and again for his elucidation, I'll read, where it is determined by a committee of Parliament appointed for the purpose that a particular bill is of an urgent nature, the provisions of the preceding clauses of this article, other than clause 1 and paragraph A of clause 2, shall not apply, and accordingly the President shall give his assent to the bill on its presentation for assent. The Speaker, the committees of this House has the authority to determine the urgency of a bill. Once they make the determination, it binds all of us. Plenary has no business in this. People should understand that. So this is not the first time a committee is authorized to make a declaration on behalf of the House. Again, Mr. Speaker, let the minority leader address his mind to Article 177 of this Constitution, which provides Mr. Speaker, Article 177 is on the creation of the contingency fund and how funds can be withdrawn from the contingency fund. It provides, there shall be paid into the contingency fund monies voted for the purpose by Parliament, and advances may be made from that fund which are authorized by the committee, not Parliament, authorized by the committee responsible for financial measures in Parliament, whenever the committee is satisfied that there has arisen an urgent or unforeseen need for expenditure for which no other provision exists to meet the need. So in that case, it doesn't come to plenary. Mr. Speaker, fancy a situation where the finance minister makes a request to the committee authorizes him to maybe withdraw about 50 million Ghana cedis from the contingency fund. And then the report comes, and then your Parliament says that you don't subscribe to that. What happens? What might have happened would be that the minister, after spending the money, your committee having agreed to that, then you charge the committee for causing financial loss. Is that your understanding of the Constitution? Not totally wrong. Mr. Speaker, so committees of this House have the authority in these three specific areas to carry on what is required of them, the authority that they have been clothed in by the Constitution. So my colleague is totally out of sorts. With the greatest respect to him, he's my friend, and he sounded that he was going to use hard language. Mr. Speaker, I believe I've restrained myself in not using hard language. I've been very circumspect, but I believe that I'm right. It's totally wrong. So, Mr. Speaker, the point I'm making is that this motion ought not to have been listed for the House to approve of the report of the Privileges Committee. That is totally an absurdity. That is it. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the legal position. And I challenge him to use the Constitution to disprove what I'm saying. Mr. Speaker, he quoted the standing orders. I will suggest to him that, yes, the standing orders is supposed to be a product of the Constitution, but between the standing orders and the Constitution takes precedence. You should know that.